let's see how Chelsea doing here. Oh, looky there. Look what Chelsea did for us.
It's pretty clean, huh? I mean, as clean as it's gonna get.
Good job.
Thanks, baby.
Good job, my love.
Thanks.
This video is brought to you by Chelsea with Smart City Locating. Chelsea has become one of the highest rated luxury apartment locators in Houston, Texas. If you or anyone you know is looking for luxury apartment living in the Houston area, then there is no one better to serve you than Chelsea with Smart City Locating. Contact information in the description of this video.
Okay, so we are home now from our Coast to Canyon Spring Break 2022 across Texas overlanding Jeep camping trip. We gotta find a way to shorten that. So we got Lone Star here all cleaned up. And so what I'm gonna do, just some routine maintenance, post-trip, because, we traveled several thousand miles on this round trip journey. So she's about due for an oil change. Man, we got it cleaned up nice. Look at that, looking sharp. We are really proud of this Jeep Wrangler. We bought this thing together, Chelsea and I, about, I guess, a little over a year ago. And we bought it for the sole purpose of, getting off the grid, going on these adventures, building it up. And so yeah, we are really proud of this vehicle right here. So we're getting her nice and cleaned up. Recently upgraded the steering, some of the steering components. Still have several things to do to the steering. We upgraded to some steer smarts, track bar and tie rod. Still got to upgrade the drag link. Just had her re-geared at Elevation Jeeps in Katy, Texas. Re-geared from 3.21 gears up to 4.56 gears, and wow, what a tremendous difference. So what I'm gonna do now, after we got her good and cleaned up, I'm gonna do an oil change, just a basic engine oil change, extremely easy to do on these Jeep Wranglers. I'm also going to change the differential gear oil one more time. So when we had her re-geared, we went through the break-in process and changed the differential gear oil there. Then we went on our trip. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it one more time, just because I'm kind of, just want to make sure that I have that peace of mind that, that the gears are good and broke in, and the gear oil is good. Alrighty, so let's get started on that. Alright, so the first thing I like to do, of course, let the engine cool. Yeah, we're gonna clean this engine up because that's a lot of dust. Well, from Padre Island National Seashore up to Palo Duro Canyon, up through the Texas Hill Country, that's a lot of dust. We're gonna get this all cleaned up. I know it's dirty, and yeah, I know this wire. We've got a solution for this. To wrap this wire around the side over here, so it's not just draped across everything. It's just a temporary thing so that the winch is functional. But yeah, we're gonna have to lengthen that. But the first thing here is, after the engine has cooled down, is get a 24mm socket, and we want to remove this oil filter cap here, right there, where I put that socket. Now that you got to be careful, because that's where you have the infamous oil cooler crack. Happens sometimes when you over tighten this oil filter cap. So you got to be careful here when you're removing it and reinstalling it, to make sure you don't crack the housing there. But I like to remove that first. For one thing, it's extremely easy to get right here on the top of the engine. Remove that, take the old filter out. Then I'll go underneath and I will remove the drain plug and let the oil got this loose. I'm just gonna set it up here on this towel. Get this towel up here, because it will have some dirty oil on it and will make a mess. So for now, I'll just set it up there. I can go underneath the Jeep and drain the oil. Another thing that I like to do is put a big piece of cardboard up underneath where you're going to be working, because it seems no matter how hard I try, I still always seem to splash some oil on the garage floor. So hopefully this will help minimize that. Of course, there is still going to be some oil splashing, but at least the cardboard will hopefully help to keep it off the garage floor as much as possible. Alright, so the oil pan drain plug is right there. You can see I had to get a new one because the old one was all stripped out. You can see a nice new silver drain plug right there on that black oil pan drain. I'm going to go ahead and get that off next and let the oil drain into this handy dandy drain container here. Alright, so I got the oil pan drain plug loosened up, and I ended up having to use a 5/8 socket. The drain plug I had previously was a 17mm, but this new one that I bought happens to be a 5/8. Yeah, 5/8. And so I got it loose. It was actually a lot looser than I expected, which isn't good, because if that sucker rattles off out on the trail, then yeah, there goes all your oil and you're in trouble. So and I know you're not supposed to tighten them up too much either, so I need to look up the torque specs on that and make sure I torque that back to specs, so that it doesn't rattle out of there. Yeah, like I said, it was definitely looser than it should have been. There she goes. And like I said, definitely had a little bit of splash over here, but not too bad. A little splash there, but that was kind of my fault for letting it drip, but all in all, not too bad. Let her drain all out there, make sure all that old burnt oil drains out, so I can put some new fresh stuff in. Alright, so the oil filter housing cap here has this rubber O-ring on it, and you have to be very careful when removing that and not to damage any of these threads or to crack this cap here, because that would not be good. Alright, so I like to use the of course the Mopar oil filter, and you know, it comes with a new O-ring here, new filter here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some motor oil. This is just an extra container of fresh new motor oil that I keep around in the garage, and I'm just going to lube this up real well before I put it back onto the oil filter housing cap there. Okay, so I have the new filter installed, got the new O-ring, got that lubed up, cleaned off the threads, cleaned off the cap really well. And I also like to lube this little piece at the end. There's another little O-ring down there, so I just lube that up with some new fresh motor oil. Now I'm just going to reinstall the new oil filter, making sure not to over tighten. There are torque specs right here on the cap, 25 Newton meters. I'll probably just go ahead and convert that to foot-pounds or inch-pounds, but making sure that you torque this thing back on properly so that you do not over-tighten it and crack your oil cooler housing. Okay, so got it, the new oil filter installed, and I'm embarrassed about how dirty this engine is. I promise you guys, I'm gonna clean this up. This Jeep does not deserve to have all this dirt and dust on her engine. So yeah, I'm gonna get that cleaned up. Made sure that I threaded the oil filter cap nice and steady, nice and easy into the oil cooler housing, and just got it snugged up. Now make sure and torque it to specs, because right now it's just kind of finger tightened. Just to, like I said, be very careful with when you're installing this, not to over tighten and not to cross thread or do anything like that, because you don't want to have to replace the oil cooler. I hear that's not any fun, and I'm crossing my fingers and praying that I don't have to do that, because I hear it's a pretty common thing. All right, so the oil has already completely drained, the old oil already completely drained out of the engine before I installed the new oil filter. All right, so one thing I failed to mention earlier is that when you're putting the new oil filter into the oil filter housing cap there, make sure you press it in until you hear a clicking. All right, it's gonna fit in there and then it's gonna click, and then that tells you it's secure. All right, so don't forget about that part, because there was a time when I installed a new oil filter and I didn't install it correctly. I didn't put in until I heard the click, and then I developed a leak right out of this oil filter cap here. All right, so now I'm just going to reinstall the oil pan drain plug here. It's been draining a while. Let's say it's about 99.99% drained. There's still a little bit of seepage here. I'm gonna go ahead and install it and fill her up with new oil. All right, now this is something again that you're gonna want to make sure that you torque it to specs so that it's not too tight, not too loose, that it's just right. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of get it snugged up. Then I'll look up the torque specs and come back and torque everything up with a torque wrench. All right, so now I'll fill her up with the new oil. Make sure everything's nice and snug, and drive her around, and hopefully there's no leaks and I did everything correctly. All right, so I know what you're probably thinking. Why is this guy using a kitchen funnel for his engine oil? Well, I had a garage funnel, but I do not seem to be able to find it, and in my world, a funnel's a funnel and it'll do the job, so here we go. Now this calls for 6 quarts. This is a 2014 Jeep Wrangler JK, 3.6 liter engine. And so it calls for 6 quarts of 5W20 engine oil. I use full synthetic, and of course make sure that it is compatible with your engine. I always double check that. All right, so there's 1 quart. Now I get my 5 quart. All right, so I like to get the 5 quart because I've priced it out, and a 5 quart container at Walmart is a lot cheaper than if you get 5 individual 1 quarts. So I just get 1 individual 1 quart and a 5 quart, and of course we know 5 plus 1 equals 6 most of the time. Oh yeah, she's saying, "Feed me, Daddy, feed me." Nice, fresh, clean engine oil. Honestly, this kitchen funnel works a lot better than the garage funnel I had before, so I might just use this one. I might continue using this one. It does seem to work better. Even though, like I said, a funnel's a funnel, but for some reason this one seems more convenient, easier to fit and manipulate here. Alrighty, so now if you're wondering what to do with the old engine oil, put it in a container, and usually take it down to your local auto parts store and they will dispose of it for you. Okay, so it looks like everything's installed. Drain the old engine oil, reinstalled new oil filter, filled her up with new engine oil, and so now I'll just make sure everything is nice and secure and torqued properly, drive her around, and hopefully there are no leaks. So, alrighty. What are you doing? Oh, let's see how Chelsea doing here. Oh, looky there. Look what Chelsea did for us.
It's pretty clean, huh? I mean, as clean as it's gonna get.
Good job.
Thanks, baby.
Good job, my love.
Thanks.
Yeah, so she, not bad. Now what do I owe you? Oh wait, this is your Jeep. I forgot about that.
Dead. I'm dead.
Not bad, not bad. Okay. Yeah, we just got to do something about this red wire here. This is the power wire to the winch. But
Looks
yeah,
a little iffy.
that's all the link they gave me. That's what she said.
Okay.
All right, but you know, if we can, we can figure out a way to lengthen that, add some more wire to it, so we can run it along the side here. Okay, so the engine got a little sponge bath. All right, so now we just got to put the cover on it. You know how to put the cover on it?
I do not.
You do not? Well, yeah, you just throw it on there like that. No, here.
Oh, I see the latches.
Yeah, so you just kind of push them back into those little grooves,
Okay.
and then it should line up with those little sockets.
Yeah.
All right.
Snug as a bug in a rug. I have no idea what sockets you were talking about.
Okay. Here.
Yeah, you cheat.
Yeah, so I cheat a little bit because, I mean.
Okay, so what sockets are you talking about?
So right here, there are a couple little spots here. And these little knobs with these sockets. So
Okay.
push it back and then
See, if you would have pointed that out at the
pop it
beginning.
down,
Is that in?
and it's on. All that is a dust cover. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so there we go.
Once again, Chelsea and I would like to sincerely thank you for watching and supporting our channel. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you will know as soon as we upload more videos. We are currently planning our next adventures to the mountains of New Mexico, the desert wilderness of Arizona, and the Ozarks of northern Arkansas, and possibly even squeezing in another tropical paradise trip to the Caribbean for our 1-year anniversary. So stay tuned.